fun. It's kind of like if an Oprah-obsessive host, hi, me, taught Sunday school, except not religious. I'm Maxie McCoy, and this is the very first episode of the very first season, and I'll be talking to women and people who are making 2020 actually somewhat inspiring, even though right now it sort of feels like a dumpster fire. And outside my windows in SF, it actually looks like one. You can stay connected to all things Woman On by going to our site and following our Instagram. You're gonna love it there. My first guest is Ivirlei Brookes. I remember the first time I caught a glimpse of the video she created because the title really resonated with me. White Women Who Truly Want to Help, Here's How. I thought, that is most definitely me, obviously. It was June of this summer. There were protests happening across the country in the aftermath of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor's murder at the hands of police. It was infuriating, to say the least, and I, like probably most of you watching, really wanted to help. So I watched Ivirlei's video and I thought, oh, shit, that is me, and I have work to do. I don't know about you, but this summer wasn't exactly my finest hour. As a facilitator of women's stories, I had to take a cold, hard look at whose stories I've been choosing to amplify. Is it just straight white women? And how do I do better? How do I go beyond centering my own story and my privilege and instead create things like this show to be as inclusive as they always should have been? Well, Ivirlei pointed me in that direction. She showed me how to do that. She showed all of us how to do that when she chose to use her pain and create this wildly important come to Jesus on Instagram Live. But her wisdom did not just magically show up when, that video hit 6 million views. She has been here a long minute. As the founder of Mavenal, she's a mindset mentor who's been coaching people through their own transformations for over a decade. And this beauty is an actress too. I'm not sure there's anything she can't do. We sat down with Ivirlei to talk about what it's like when you get the thing you've always said you wanted, and how to even go about doing that. Here's Ivirlei Brookes on going viral for good. I obviously want to talk to you about going viral for good, which you have done. Your video, which you posted to Instagram originally, White Women Who Truly Want to Help, Here's How, started with 11 viewers. It's got almost 6 million views, the true epitome of viral. But what I want to know that I'm really curious about is, when did you, Ivirlei, know or consider that it was going viral? Was there a moment?
It felt pretty different from the very beginning. It's hard to put into words, but there was an energy that you could feel when something was taking on a life of its own. It was, I would say, when we got to over 100,000, we were holy, it was every step before that. My videos never even got to 1,000 before that. So it was just climbing. It was my fiance who was really keeping track. And I would wake up and he would be like, babe, you need to look at this.
You can't be scared to speak out. You can't be like, what are people going to think about me? What are people going to say? I'm going to lose my friends. Those aren't your friends if they have a problem with you speaking up for what's right.
It was like this video is going berserk. And I was like, what are you talking about? I don't understand. What is happening? And then it was how a roller coaster goes up before it goes downhill. It was every day. And it got scary, Maxie, because I kind of felt like people who are visible for speaking out against racism become targets. Yeah. So I was like, okay, calm down. Bring it back down a little bit. Let's not, I don't want that smoke. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so then I got contacted by the local news station. And that's when I knew. I was like, okay, this isn't just a lot of people. This is going wild.
This is going somewhere.
Yeah.
What did people, when they started contacting you, the news station, what did they want to talk about? What were they asking?
Man, they were just you've got this video and it's going viral. How do you feel? And what's it feel like to go viral? To like, it was very, very, it was all about Black Lives Matter, obviously, but it was more so like, you know, how does it feel to be an activist now? And like, you know, it was kind of like, you know what the news is like. It's not like a real conversation like this. And I mean, I'm extremely grateful because it drove more people to see the video and more people to know who I was. But it just was very, it was all about the virality and not really about the reason why I felt. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nobody wants to talk about the content because they don't put their ass on the block of change.
Yeah. So it was some outlets were very focused on that, which was great. And some people just cared about going viral, which I was able to discern pretty early what was what.
Yeah, what was happening there. You know, it's interesting that you bring that up of the difference between the virality and the content, because you have said, I'm not an activist. I'm a Black woman with experiences you wouldn't believe. Yeah. So, you know, I also read that when you taped that, shot that video, you said it was from a place of brokenness. And I'm just curious, what were the experiences? Obviously, you have the experiences of a lifetime, but were there any in particular that were really heavy on your heart in the moment that you thought, like, come on, white women?
Yeah, I had seen, so right before the video went viral, I had posted another post that was talking about what it feels like for Black people when white people don't speak up or their friends don't speak up. And I was already feeling very helpless. I felt like I was home. I was not out and about, so it wasn't like I was out protesting. And I saw a lot of my friends and people I cared about who are Black who was just, they were just explaining, doing everything that they could to be nice, but just say like, you guys, this isn't new information. We didn't just show up yesterday. Yeah. And
neither did this issue.
Exactly. So I kind of felt helpless as a coach. it's my natural inclination to teach or help. Yeah. And so I felt exhausted beforehand. But I felt like, okay, I got to say something. And before this happened, I had just really got deep and prayed and just said, how can I be used? Please use me for however I can be helpful.
Use me to my highest good.
Right. I didn't know what else to do, you know. I didn't feel right coming out like, hey, got a business? I can help, you know, like it felt very like, I'm like, how can I just talk? Yeah. Just being myself. And if only a few people watch it, and there was only 11 people who watched it. So it was a lot. It was a lot.
A hot second.
Yeah. Right. During the actual, because it was a live. So
right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So yeah, it was exhausting. I cried the same day. Like it wasn't fun to do. So it's weird. You make these videos where you've got a backdrop and you're like, hey y'all, I'm Ivirlei, you know, and
like bringing all the energy and the give. Yeah.
And nobody cares. Yeah. And then you make a video where you're like deadpan, like not even, you know, putting on the
show. Yeah.
Right. You're just talking, saying what Black people already know. Yep. And that goes viral. So it's weird. It's a weird feeling.
Yeah. I imagine that it is weird in a way that I can't imagine what it's like to be put into an activist role when, it's your lived experience. Like you do a one Google of your name and it's, the top 5, top 10 Black women activists that you need to know. And and you're like, I coach. I also have this gorgeous business pushing people beyond their limiting beliefs, which I'm really excited to talk to you about, given the context of the viral video, because I've heard you say, you were asking, you said it here, I was asking to be used. And even, in your scripting and your visioning, I'm sure you have wanted the moment where you have 100,000 plus followers and you have really pushed your business to that place. And so that's what I want to know is how did you then start to shift exposure into feeling okay about leveraging it? Is that a fair word? And building off of it?
It's a really good question. So it took some reframing. And at first it was like, oh my God, there's so many Black women who have been doing this their whole lives as anti-racism leaders. And no, not me, guys. What are you talking about? Yeah. Like I had this like abrupt feeling of like, no. And then I had to reframe it and understand that activism can look different for every person. Yeah. And the idea that you have to look and do it a certain way it's a limited box. It's not real. You know what I mean? And so what I understood is that, yes, there are people who are educators in the anti-racism space, but activism itself can be whatever you want it to be when it comes to it being authentic to who you are. So whether that be within your company, as an individual, it doesn't have to look like, it was my own, belief that an activism does this particular thing. Yeah. And that's all they do. Yep. And it was also important to me to make sure that people didn't like categorize me as an activist, because then it's like, well, no. I want you to understand that all Black women that have something to say about this, their voice is valid too. You don't have to label us activists for what we're saying to be important. So I kept making sure that I said that.
That's really beautiful, poignant insight. Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just kind of like when you speak out, now you're labeled as something. I'm like, no, it could be the Black girl who works up the street from you. Like every single one of our voices are important. So, that was important to me too.
They are. And, when you talk about that reframing, what was your process? Was it just acknowledging it? Like, how did you get from feeling blocked about it to, all right, I'm going to go make the intentional activism workshop. I'm going to go build on top of this. Can you take me from A to Z?
Wow. You know what? I probably haven't even really examined the A to B.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. But I can just,
A to B was probably pretty big.
Yeah, it was a lot. Yeah. It was a whole lot. But I can say overall, the messages from people saying like, this changed my life. And, I use this to teach a class, or I use this video to talk to my parents about race for the first time, like to see how much it was helping people really kind of changed my mind about what was possible when you use your voice. It also was a lot of pressure too. Yeah. It was like, okay, so now I'm the voice of something. So how can I do this in a way that is helping rather than hurting? And so there's a lot of pressure. There's a whole lot of pressure on each side, but I have good people around me. Yeah. I have people who are used to being in the public eye, people who could give me advice about, my own changes within my own self-care.
Yeah. What changes did you make? Where to start?
Girl,
plants.
Right. I had my plans because, mind you, during COVID, I've had to have a different level of self-care. Yeah. So I I was already in overdrive. And then having to talk to my therapist like daily if need be, moving up, those type of appointments. And then also limiting my time on social media, limiting the amount of the access to me that I gave to people who just wanted to talk about politics or wanted to talk about, I think you should talk about this now. And it was just a lot. And so I just started putting boundaries up so that I wouldn't be as overwhelmed.
And burnout.
Burnout and not able to hear my own voice. Letting everyone tell me what I should be doing. And, there are people who kind of wanted me to, not saying within my own circle, but just in general, who wanted me to lean into, now I'm an activist now. And it's like, if I wasn't sure of who I was before, I could see how it would be very tempting to all of a sudden be like, you know what, found my calling. I'm an activist. It's like, you have to know who you are no matter what. And then when something happens that may not be what you were known for or trying to become known for, own it and make it your own without having to change who you are. Yeah.
There's just so much goodness there. I'm processing which avenue I want to go, because it's so true and it's so beautiful. And the thing that I think about, that I think back of a time I got rid of everything that I owned. I went to another country. I lived alone. I had no friends. And I just remember feeling like I can hear my voice again outside of identity and people and work and achievement. And it's something that I feel committed to trying not to lose again, and to be really sensitive to when you do. And so, you saying like, I needed that self-care in order to make sure that I heard my voice.
Yeah.
As things were, the visibility was popping and exposure was popping. What was your voice telling you when you were able to hear it?
Man. Well, there are a lot of voices. Let's first say that.
Glad I'm not the only one.
Right. There were a lot of voices, but within myself.
Within yourself.
Yeah. But I would say the truth, the real, actual, authentic me was like, your voice has always been powerful. Whether you were working one-on-one with women and changing their lives, or whether you're on a big stage, don't lose sight of the fact that your honesty and telling your real story and being yourself is always going to be the winner. Don't try to start all of a sudden changing how you say things. Don't all of a sudden start trying to be like different than what you were. Just stay who you were. Stay authentic. Don't change how you do.
Authentic before.
Right.
It's what allowed it to happen.
Right.
Isn't that interesting though, when something like this shifts and you're thinking you need to do or be something differently in order to fulfill all the eyes that are now looking, even though they're only now looking because you were doing it to begin with.
Yeah. It's really weird I had on no lashes. I wasn't glammed up. I wasn't like anything like that.
You also looked stunning. You looked stunning. That powder blue, I'm like, I need me one of those.
Thank you. I just wasn't something I was thinking about. Yeah. I wasn't thinking about looking cute. I wasn't thinking about how I would be perceived by people. I was just desperately tired of hearing about us being killed. I was tired at that moment. I'm tired every day, but at that moment, it was just at a heightened level. And I was just like, damn it.
Yeah.
I was over it. I was very, very over it in that moment. We're all always over it as Black people. But at that moment, I was just fired up, and rather than in despair. And that's why I started talking. Yeah. Yep.
Well, in the over it and the pain, you gave me such a gift. So thank you for that. And you gave a lot of us such a gift. And I'm really, I'm curious about the comment that you made about it showed you what's possible. And so when you think about what is possible for you now, and you've been coaching for over a decade, or a decade, close to a decade, whatever it is, you've been pushing past, helping others push past their own limits.
Yeah.
What are you seeing possible for you now?
I've always known that I would have a voice. I've always known that I didn't know how, know when, but I knew that I would have a voice. And I think what I didn't know was possible was to help and have a voice when it came to social change at all. I never felt like I was, I don't know, even though I knew I would have a voice, I always felt such a small voice in that area. And what I realized is that so many people feel that way. And that's why so many people don't do anything. It's because they feel they're too small. Yeah, like what can I do? I live here and nobody follows me. And so that idea that only the people at the top can make the change. Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned, is that this is all about us. Like this is us. Like, you know, like we all can do something and get involved and stop thinking that it's just the activists that have work to do.
It's the normals. We need the normals.
Everybody.
Yeah, we need everybody.
It's everybody's problem. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It's I hear that a lot too, the limiting beliefs, whether it's about racial justice, social justice, activism, just having to do with followers, like, you know, having to do with, well, I don't have this and I don't have that. And yeah, you make such an important point that whether it's, you know, for the future of a country, for the future of a race, for a future of equality on whatever dimension of social good.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's a collective. It takes all of us.
Everybody.
And so I want to circle to the beginning of this year, before any of this happened. And you're making 2020 resolutions. You have no idea what is about to happen. And, you know, you're somebody who's used to working from home because you've been coaching, like this is new.
Yeah.
But I was really curious and I was smiling because you wrote about it. So I absorbed it.
Yeah.
About your resolutions for this year. And one of them was cultivating your friendships. And I want to know, how have you done in that? It's September. How has it been?
Ooh. Girl, well, for one, my resolution, it's so funny thinking back to January, what was important at that moment versus now.
Batching your work. But, or maybe, and when I was reading it, which was post all of this.
Yeah.
Shit, yeah, those were really good resolutions and she didn't even know.
Yeah. I mean, as far as friendships go, I've made some really good friends. Some people who were just like, man, I wish I would have met them sooner. You know, people who I looked up to, who I had never met, who just ended up being genuine in real life. Yeah. So I would say friend is a strong word. Just acquaintance.
I get it.
You know what I mean? My grandmother used to say that's a strong word. I'm just associates that I've met. You know, I think friends comes after there's, you know, just a little bit of time. But so far I've met some dynamic, incredible women who I really think will be a part of my life going forward.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm curious too in having done that, and especially this year, right? Like, we're just so far removed. We're so far removed from the people that we hold close and what we're able to do with them and all the ways that we would have cultivated a friendship during these hard times. Yeah. What has worked for you?
Man. Making sure that we talk a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
Frequency.
Yeah, I'm pretty conservative when it comes to risking being around a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I don't roll
You're not
like
seeing
that.
anybody. Yeah.
Nah. So, and no judgment to people who are doing whatever. My household, we're pretty much in here, and having to not know when I'm going to see my mom and things like that it's been really tough, but just using apps where we can just video instead of text.
Yeah.
Having
seeing people's face makes a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And losing like the whole production of FaceTime and stuff. Yeah. Just being like, what are you watching? What's that? What are you eating? You know, like,
cooking, the phone's over there.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
Just doing that, just like with my, friends who I haven't seen, just put the phone, I'll be like, put the phone next to the stove and talk to me. Okay, now keep going and just talk to me like I was there, so just kind of, figuring out ways to connect without having to be in person. It's difficult. I'm not going to lie. I really need some hugs from my people.
The hugs, right? The hugs. But I think you're so spot on with the communication and having to ramp it up instead of just knowing, I'm gonna see him at dinner in 2 weeks because I'm not. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So one of the things that we love to ask our guests is if you can pull out maybe an inspiring, motivational pep text that either you sent to somebody or somebody sent to you, and read it to us.
I got a text this morning right?
Oh,
Um,
they knew.
right. And it was my friend Liz. And
Hi, Liz.
hi, Liz. He said, hey, can we just recap on how amazing life is? Just getting up really early and feeling grateful, thinking about how happy I am that we are healthy and our dreams are unfolding. Often we don't realize how deserving we are of the good that's present and coming into our lives. And we go through the indifferent and bad times, coming out on the other side a bit wiser and stronger, which prepares us to be humble and thankful for the abundance and the seasons of harvest, the blessings after the stormy seasons in life. So let's celebrate the small and large milestones. I'm really grateful to have you in my life. And this was at 5:20 this morning.
Ooh,
And yeah, it's pretty long, but
oh,
but I woke up. I get up at 6 now, so she knew that I would be up.
yeah.
I'm a words of affirmation person, and my friends know that, and so luckily a lot of them are too, and so I'm constantly affirming them. So it kind of like felt like, what do I choose? What do you mean? But that happened just this morning. So
thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
God, Liz, I feel like that was a gift to me also. In a secondhand effect. It's so beautiful. I mean, the seasons of life, like the seasons of life, it's just, there's so many chapters. There's so many chapters.
And you don't know what the purpose is until later.
Yeah. But it reveals itself.
Absolutely.
In the last 6 months of this season, I don't know if you find this, but I would assume you probably do, of just, when we're in bad patches, bad months, bad seasons, bad chapters, we want out. We want it to be better. We want to move on. We want to woman on, we want to go forward. But I think there's so much power in just sitting in our shit a bit. Yeah. Where have you had to really sit without just trying to latch on and move out of it so that you could get the lesson?
Man, a few times in life that I could name, but I would say maybe when I tried to I had a magazine when I first started, and I tried to turn it into a TV show. And I had a deal to do that, and the deal fell through, and I was just left with kind of nothing. I just put all my eggs in one basket, and then that basket dropped. Let me just say that there have been a lot of times where I've had to force myself to sit in whatever it was. But this particular time, I felt kind of like done. Yeah. I felt at the time, even though I was much younger than I am now, I felt like I'm old. My God, it's over for me. I should have been 19 and made it by now and all this. And I did that victimization thing really heavy at that time. And it wasn't until I took that time. I mean, although I did sit in it longer than I should have, it was that time that made me realize that I wanted to move on to be more of a coach and a leader and start that led me on that path.
Isn't it interesting how that happened? Like when you look back, it's one of my favorite. I know that you build reflection into so much of what you do, but that's why, because you're able to see, if that hadn't have happened, I never would have gotten to this other thing that did. And my God.
Yeah. And you also have more of an appreciation of alignment after you've hit the dirt. When you've had to be face down on the floor, crying your eyes out, wondering what is my reason for getting up tomorrow. It's those moments that you refer back to when you're on the top, when the crowd is cheering, when you get more money than you've ever had, or you sign a deal for more than you've ever made in your life or something. You remember that floor. you
know where you came from. And the projection and the and the feeling like you had nothing to give. That's always what's interesting to me about being on that dirt floor is we think that that was it.
Yep.
And if this isn't it, then I don't know what I get to give.
I don't know what it is. Yeah. I mean, I've had a breakup before where I was like, well, folks,
I'm done.
I'm done trying.
I'm gonna, this is just me. It's me all the way in.
Yep. I had, and it comes from sometimes attaching your identity to things, whether it be a job or a relationship or something. You're like, this is me. You attach something else to who you are. So when it's over, you feel like there is no more you or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I've had that more times than I'd like to say. and
look where you are, and same.
Right.
Like all the same. I just saw 10 different fetal positions flash before my eyes. So yeah. So you said in the context of the the pep talk that Liz sent you this morning, you are a words of affirmation person, and it's rubbing off on the people around you and the people that you coach, people that follow you. How because I think a lot of people are rolling around in the dirt right now. How do you use words of affirmation to get up?
Well, it starts with the words that I don't use.
Let's hear it.
We in our house, well, we've always omitted words from the household just to help with our consciousness of our money issues and things like that. Like if we had a mental money issue that we would talk to ourselves a certain way, we would take certain words and we don't say the word expensive in our house. We use another word. So things like that. But during this time, I have had to remove the term, I can't wait for 2020 to be over. I'm not wishing 2020 over at all. I'm not wishing it out of the way. Not because, obviously a lot of good things have happened, but there's a lot of, things that have been just brutal, right? But there are some people who will not have the privilege to see the end of the year.
Right.
And I'm not trying to be one of those people.
Right.
So that's one thing. It's just omitting phrases and things like that are trendy or that everyone, because we sometimes relate through our struggles. So not chiming in on those kind of conversations. And then listening and and relating, but not pouring into them. Affirmations, I would say for myself would be when I get up in the morning, I just tell myself I'm capable and I belong where I am. I belong in every room I end up in. I belong on every screen that I end up on. Just reminding myself that there is no accident and there is no matter what I feel about what's happening, I've worked so hard, because we kind of negate the work that we've done, right? We're like,
we lift mountains and forgot we moved them.
Exactly. And so you start, for me, I had a sense of guilt at times where I'm just not sure where it comes from. I mean, we deal with this is why we do this mindset stuff, because as soon as you get to another level, you end up dealing with new things.
The same shit again. Or new versions of it. And then it's always so interesting to me that we judge, on a path of self-growth, that we even judge that things show up. And it's like, it's because you're expanding. Like you've never done it before.
The imposter syndrome and the feelings of there are people who have done this longer than me, all this crazy stuff.
Or I tell people this, why am I don't know if you had this experience this summer, but when my book came out, When You're Not Lost came out, I felt the most lost I had felt since the genesis of the 22-year-old girl. And I remember just hiding it and not telling anyone and getting up on stages and acting like it wasn't happening because it's so attached to outcome, right? Where is it going? What presses? How is it selling? And then I remember the moment when I just decided to start telling people I felt like shit. And I told it on stage, and I was in Tampa, and best 2 hours of my life because I was honest. But I think that, what you're saying about, you have to relearn your work sometimes, and it's ironic and it's annoying and it's beautiful. Really annoying.
Oh yeah. You got to keep relearning. You got to coaches need coaches too, you know, kind of, I can see something very clearly in someone else, but in myself, I need another person to kind of pull me out of that. So, oh yeah, you're never done.
No, you are never done. And we need our mirrors
Yes.
we need our mirrors so much. And where are you with thinking and the mindset of where you're going? So you have talked about scripting, which I know you created this for yourself. So it doesn't even matter where it came. Well, actually, I do kind of want to know where it came from. Like, can you tell everybody what scripting is?
Oh yeah.
And like, where did the pieces come together that you realize that this is what you're doing?
Okay. So for one, I wasn't the originator of scripting. I don't really know where it came from. I just know I was doing it before I knew other people were.
Totally.
So this is so crazy. Because I used to have a magazine, I've always been obsessed with them. I would write articles about myself in the future. And
yes, I need to know the title of these articles, because in the 4th grade, I wrote a book called The Magnificent Life of Maxie McCoy.
Come on.
It was a
yes.
2-part volume, 2 parts.
There we go. Uh-huh.
What was the title of the articles that you wrote about yourself?
Man, I would write them as like, this new kid on the block taking over the industry or something. Like it was like real deal.
Yeah.
And I would take photos of other celebrities and pretend like it was me and like glue stick it on a board. And I would
like hodgepodge the shit out of it.
Yeah. And I would handwrite the article like,
cool.
I met Ivirlei on Thursday, so-and-so, and she sat down with her glossy hair and told me that, like, I literally would write it out.
Did it.
Yeah. And so because I was already used to writing out my life in the future.
As if it had already happened.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
I had been, so technically I've been scripting since I was in junior high school.
Yep.
So as I got older, I started to continue the process of writing my life as if I was writing a gratitude post, like a gratitude journal exercise in the future. And then
living in the memory of your future self. Like
right. Mm-hmm. And so I've always been doing that, but then I realized that there are a lot of other people who do it too. So that's where I learned that it was called scripting. So I had no idea what it was. But anyway, you asked me what it was.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love Way Over There. Way Over There is very fun. More fun, some might say. I live way over there, so thank you.
I feel you. I live over there too.
So then when you are sitting down and you are doing, you are scripting, can you tell us what that looks like?
Yeah. So scripting is definitely different from journaling. Journaling is more self-reflective, like we talked about. With scripting, I really do set a process around it where I get into a feeling state first. So if you are in a fearful place or you're upset, writing about your future can sometimes be a lot more difficult. Mm-hmm. Right? I make sure that I'm in a good feeling space. So I try to get into my zone. I listen to particular videos or books or anything that I can to get my energy high, because I have to get in beast mode in order to have a vision, right?
Tell us the go-to song on the Beast Mode playlist.
Oh, and I don't necessarily have songs for the Beast Mode playlist, but I'll listen to.
You're like, I make them myself and sing.
Yeah. I have drums. No, I usually will listen to I'll do Esther Hicks, or I'll do Eric Thomas, or I'll do just listen to anything that is motivational beforehand to kind of switch my brain around. And sometimes, to be honest, I listen to myself. I have voice notes on my phone where when I'm in a good mood, I will record myself. When I'm feeling like the vision feels like alive, I will start talking into my voice notes and I play them back. And I have some from years ago that are extremely helpful. Yeah. But then you get into a good feeling sense, and then you start writing, sit down, make sure I grab my tea. I make sure I have my notebook, my pen, everything that makes me feel good and closest to the highest version of myself. And I create a practice around it. Yeah.
And then you're scripting just you in the future, like the things that have happened to you as if they've already happened.
Yes, I'm so grateful for. And you can also do it like you were writing about yourself too. But I will have a long session of just writing about how I feel about what has happened. Things that haven't happened yet. Yeah.
Things that haven't, like, I'm so grateful for my book that came out and the New York Times bestseller and all the things that haven't technically happened yet, but are happening for you.
Absolutely.
Can we talk about, is it true? Are you writing a book right now?
Yes. It's far in the future though. It's not like I have some other creative projects that I'm focused on. But I was actually working on a book before any of this happened.
Sure.
I was trying to get myself in a place where I could put because I'm a talker. Writing it feels a little bit harder to express myself. So I've been working on it for a while. But now it's definitely got some new parts, some new chapters, some new things that I've learned. So I am working on that, and it will definitely be all about limiting beliefs and mindset shifts. I'm really passionate about helping people to reinvent themselves.
I mean, isn't it? It's you're so much more than passionate. You're so effing good at it. You listen to you, and it's you just want to do so much more. I want to do so much more with what I have. So it works. So thank you. Can't wait for that book.
I'm excited.
And all the other creative projects, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. But as you're evolving and these new chapters and stepping into your own voice in activism, the thing that I do want to know, because I know that you have this workshop going on, is when you launched the Intentional Activism Workshop, how did you know, because I think this can apply outside of activism or racial justice, but how do you know where to evolve to? How did you know that you wanted to evolve to that product experience and place?
Well, good question, by the way. No one has asked me that. It's a good question. I knew how to create a course. And I've been working with clients doing that for a really long time. So that part wasn't a stretch for me. And I knew that I wanted to create them in the future. Yeah. It was a need. I would get questions overwhelming my DMs from people who were genuinely wanting to know more about how they could be more intentional in their anti-racism journey. And for one, I'm not the expert. And two, I can't respond to that many DMs. And I'm like, you know what? I know people and I can get other people who can answer these questions all at once. So I created it because I felt like, okay, this is an assignment that I've been given and I don't really know what to do with it. Let me create something that can live on after me. Let me create a workshop and also just for the people who are really serious, because some people just want to argue in your DMs. Some people just want to talk to you about, how you're wrong and, how Black people should just get over it and all that's in there too. So I decided to create something where I was very intentional about making it an environment where it was a brave space and not a safe space. We say that all the time, where people who are genuine can come in. And students so far have said it's been life-changing for them. But I put a lot into it. Yeah. I got the right people involved to where it really is a transformational type workshop.
Yeah, and it's a gift. I haven't taken it, and I can only imagine that the people that you surround yourself with, are giving that kind of thing to all of us. And it's interesting, you picking up specifically on what people are asking of you, because I think that can be a balance, right? As, we started this conversation saying people about the voices are telling you we're going here and here and here. But then there is I felt that way with my book. It just was like, fuck, I have to go put all of this somewhere because too many people are asking. And also I'm very passionate about answering. I can't answer individually. So but walking that line of knowing it's your truth to go answer it versus it's someone else's request of you. Yep. It's not always easy.
And exhausting, it's exhausting. I mean, imagine having to speak about racism all day
every day
argue
and live it.
Yeah. And we haven't even got to that part yet. Yeah. Right. And even people who are genuine, because not everyone is, even people who are genuine, it is a energetic offering to continue to be as present as you need to be to answer those types of questions. Not our job. So I knew that creating something like this would go, and plus, like I said, I'm not the expert. So bringing in people who have the experience with teaching this kind of thing to white people was so helpful, because it was like, okay, so it's not just me, I'm bringing in what I know about shifting your mindset and my own personal experience. My mom is in the workshop, like talking about when she went to a school that was newly desegregated, so there's like, I brought to it everything that I could, and then I brought other people in
along.
To make sure that it was covering all bases. And I'm really proud of it. I never planned for it, but I'm proud that it exists now.
Yeah. The things that we don't plan for. They're so beautiful. And I did want to ask you, like, on that note of not what you planned for, did you, from your time being the female Hitch, which I have to know more about, did you ever think that you'd end up here?
Visible, yes. Where I am right now, no. I had no idea, but I never really gave a lot of thought to the how. I knew what I wanted to do, but I've seen people, meet someone at a grocery store, and the next thing you know, that person's managing them, and now they're on television. Like, you never know how things are going to work. So I've seen a lot of crazy things happen. But I didn't know exactly. I never saw myself like in this position. No, I never imagined that for myself.
Yeah, I love that, just because it reminds everyone who's like, I want to be where Ivirlei is, that it's all possible. And we don't have to follow the exact paths of other people when you know exactly why you're doing something. Would you ever go back and be a female Hitch?
Only on a television show or something.
Yes.
Yeah. Not in
real.
Oh
my God. And you were working with men, right?
Yeah. I was a new coach. Like I was not, I was just doing what I was good at.
Yeah.
I didn't have the chops. Like I wasn't, I guess the experience under my belt as a coach. I was just going with my instinct, which has always been what has made me a good coach, I think, and being able to read people and let go of my preconceived ideas about what that kind of person is like. I've always been really good at meeting people where they are, without projecting what I think they should be or who they are onto them. That's what helped me as a coach. And so at that time, I didn't take it seriously at first. And I was just like, if they're going to pay me for this, then I can help. I can give advice. That friend that always gives unsolicited advice, that was me. And so
I know that friend. I used to be one, still sort of am. My favorite line is, I'm about to give you an unsolicited opinion. And
or I say, okay, is it okay for me to go into coach mode? Okay. Like I ask first. Because not everybody, I had to learn that. Not everybody wants your opinion.
They don't want it.
Most
of them, they just, especially, friends, they just want to.
Right.
Sometimes we just need to vent.
Exactly. Right. So I didn't take it seriously at first. And then once I did start taking it seriously, I quickly learned what it is to deal with the back end of the business as a one woman show. Right. Dealing with clients, like that was a whole different ball game. So it was my introduction to coaching, but working with women hits me somewhere a lot different. I loved being a dating coach, and I loved seeing transformation as a whole, but working with women and helping them to see themselves in a new way and reach levels that they probably didn't think they could reach it's a deeper thing for me. It fills me up in a way that nothing else has.
You're just such a gift of a mirror to all of us, and being able to reflect that back. I am grateful for you. And I want to know as we close up here, what are you batshit grateful for?
Oh, I am batshit grateful for my health and that I am good. I am feeling good. I'm able to use all my limbs and I'm breathing good and I'm safe. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for my fiance, who's just he's just a ball of optimism. And dealing with all this way better than I thought, because he thrives off community, like in person. He needs to mingle and stuff. And I'm like, oh no, this is gonna break him.
He's gonna tank. This is not gonna be good.
I really thought so. Because I'm cool in a little cave.
I'm him, and it is weird how you adapt.
Yes, he has been doing his home improvement and stuff. So I'm most grateful for waking up and being around a person who's smiling so big and just feeling good. Like that affects you.
You.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm grateful for those two things.
Right now. I love y'all's love, and I don't even know your love. Okay. Who is a woman on the rise, who should be a woman on our radar?
Tracy Pendergast has a company called, she has a new company and it's called Daisy Made. And it is next up. It's going to be so awesome. She's awesome and she's passionate about it. And it's a place for creatives to celebrate, their own creations and other creations from other artists. So it's like an artist community. And seeing people that passionate and that excited really makes me happy. So yeah, Daisy Made is her company. And then Andy Allo, she's on a show called Upload on Amazon, but she's also stepping.
I know Upload.
You do?
I know Andy, not personally, but only because I think I stalked the shit out of her because I'm like, I'm obsessed.
Yeah, she's my friend and she's so dope. And
do that. I'm obsessed.
Yes, she's starting to step out and kind of coach and be an inspirational figure too. And she's one of the most inspirational people I know. So when people realize that she's inspirational, they're going to flip out.
It's done because she's talented and inspirational.
Yeah. She's the person who I think a lot more people will know.
Yeah. It'll be awesome fast.
Yeah, but I light up. Like I can keep going, but
we're gonna
take you those two.
Stop on Andy. I'm so grateful for you. And now let's talk about you, Ivirlei. We obviously at the Woman On community are so grateful for you and want to continue to support you. So how can we best do that?
Well, my main priority right now is building an authentic community. Having that many people show up and, now you don't know who's who. So I would say joining the community of, Instagram followers and the mailing list and just being a part of it. Because I don't expect anyone to stay who doesn't feel like they're at home. So I'm not one of those like, follow me, everyone. I'm like, follow me if I'm for you.
If this is.
Exactly. Right. But yeah, just that. Just, come introduce yourself. Let me know who you are. I value community and I really want to build an authentic one. So, and don't feel bad if they don't stay. Just, just come on by. Yeah.
Sounds good. That we will. And I know our community will as well. So I really thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Finally, she was like, you have to go buy a plant. So that's why she was commenting on the plant game.
Yeah, it looks good.
Beauty. But my San Francisco ass walked that home.
What?
Over half of a mile. It's like, it is. I mean, I'm 6 feet tall. It's 6 feet tall.
She's thriving.
I should have gotten in a car. I didn't. And I was just like, couldn't be like, does it go out the sunroof? Like,
Yeah, so you walked it. Well, they say that fiddles are super sensitive, so you probably made the right choice.
Oh, Mark at SF Plant told me.
They're very. I have a new fiddle, and she is like, I'm scared to offend her.
So let me tell you the tips that I received.
I'm ready.
You got to stick your fingers into the dirt.
Okay.
And you're only supposed to get water up halfway. So once the top half is dry, that's when you can water again.
Okay.
And you water until the water comes out a little bit. And if there's any water on the top for more than 15 minutes, you have to pour it out because they're really susceptible to fungi. And it's that water on top.
God. See how high maintenance? Like,
as a high maintenance bitch, I get it.